In this video, we'll be looking at question 1.4 from 5CO02. You should have read the scenario and know that this question is asking you to approach two decision-making processes, explain how and why they work, and discuss their implications for the organization in the case study. Before we dive into the approach, I need to remind you that this video provides general guidance on how to tackle this type of question. It doesn't give you the answers. You'll need to do your own research, analysis, and critical thinking to complete your assignment. With that said, let's walk through how to approach this step by step. First off, let's look at how to break down the question. Start by spotting the command verb. Here, it's explain. That means you need to do more than just describe each decision-making process. You're being asked to clarify how and why these processes function and what that means for the scenario in the case study. So, what does decision-making processes actually refer to in this context? Focus on people practices that are relevant to the scenario. Since the question asks for two approaches, it's better to go deep rather than wide. Pick two that really fit the issues in the case study. And remember, this isn't about listing generic models or giving a surface-level summary. Stick closely to what's relevant and leave out anything unrelated. Alright, now it's not enough to just describe what these processes are. You need to make judgments. This means evaluating how suitable and effective each process is for the organization in the scenario. Use evaluative language. Maybe say, this approach is particularly suitable given the current reliance on traditional practices. Or this process might be limited if leadership resists change. Weigh up the strengths and weaknesses. Think about how each process addresses the specific challenges raised in the scenario, like outdated practices or a lack of evidence-based decisions. Does each process offer practical benefits? Are there potential drawbacks? Back up what you say with evidence. Let's talk about structuring your answer. It's a good idea to open with a brief rationale. Why is effective decision-making so critical for the organization at this stage? Then, split your answer into two main sections, one for each decision-making process. For each, introduce the approach, analyze how it could be applied to the case study, and evaluate how effective it's likely to be. You could also compare the two. Maybe one is more impactful, or one works better in certain situations. Wrap up with a clear overall judgment that ties back to what the scenario needs, and make sure every paragraph stays focused on the context and the requirements of the question. As you write, keep the assessment criteria in mind. You want to show excellent knowledge, use relevant examples, and reference wider reading. Pick two decision-making processes from those suggested, like the best fit approach or Edward de Bono's 6 thinking hats. Make sure your discussion connects to the theory behind each process. Ask yourself, am I applying theory, linking it to the scenario, and bringing in relevant literature? Use the assessment criteria to spot where examples or academic sources can strengthen your points. Now, about using sources and referencing. Aim to include 2 or 3 high-quality academic sources that directly relate to the decision-making processes you've chosen. Use Harvard referencing as you go. Paraphrasing is usually best, since it keeps things concise. Most importantly, make sure each source backs up your analysis, not just tacked on for show. Connecting theory to the scenario is key. Tie each process to specific examples or issues in the case study, things like resistance to change or the need for more evidence-based practice. Explain why each process is relevant and how it could help tackle the particular challenges outlined. Show that you understand both the academic framework and what it means in the real world for the organization in the scenario. To aim for high marks, stick to just 2 processes and explore each one in depth. Choose frameworks that make sense for the organization's needs and support your analysis with well-chosen, credible sources. Build logical arguments, acknowledge any limitations or alternative views, and offer insightful, scenario-specific judgments to show your critical thinking. Finally, focus on writing clearly and concisely. Stay within the word limit. Make sure every paragraph has a clear purpose. Don't repeat yourself or go off on tangents. After you've drafted your answer, read it through to check that it flows logically and always comes back to what the question's actually asking. Thanks for watching. If you found this helpful, give it a like and subscribe to the channel. Check out the rest of the series for more tips on tackling other questions from this unit.